Hey guys, welcome to Traeger Kitchen Live. I'm Danielle Bennett, also known as Diva Q, barbecue expert and pro for Traeger grills. Welcome to my backyard. We are hosting Thanksgiving tonight here in my backyard, and we've got a lot of fun. Here's the thing. It's all about giving that great wood-fired flavor to all things Thanksgiving. So make sure you take the time to go to traegergrills.com/Thanksgiving for all sorts of epic, amazing culinary, recipes and cocktails and everything you need to get your turkey on this season, plus amazing side dishes. So tonight we're going to be covering 3 amazing recipes. I have made these recipes so many times on the Traeger tour and of course here at home. So we're going to do a spatchcocked turkey tonight. I'm going to take you through how to make that. Super easy. Awesome results every single time, but we're also going to amp it up with a beautiful citrus brine and a lot of buttery herb goodness. And then we're also going to do a smoked apple cider, which is going to come up first tonight. And then one of my all-time favorite snackage dishes. I love this dish so much. And this is a squash au gratin dish that is just so amazing. And it's great because you can do it up the day before. So to get us all started tonight, we're going to start off with a smoked apple cider. And this is super simple. I mean, I love smoking a lot of things, but ciders and cocktail bases are amazing on the Traeger grills. So I'm actually working on the Pro 780 tonight, and it's set at 225 degrees. And then the other 2 dishes are actually going to go on the Timberline 1300 right behind me, and they're set at 350 degrees tonight. So start off with a grill-proof pan. I've had this pan forever, and to me, it always goes on the grill. When it comes to making a smoked apple cider, you can add a lot of great items. I'm going to put in some lime zest tonight, a little bit of orange zest, because I love citrus. You can use as little or as much as you want. Another thing I love, it's a nice warm spice. This is star anise, and it looks really pretty when it's floating in there too. I love cinnamon, lots and lots of cinnamon. I actually use 3 times what the recipe calls for because I love cinnamon that much. As you can see, not complicated at all. So this is a kid-friendly, help you kind of dish. Child labor is always a good thing. Then the last thing I've got is some cloves. Take it easy with these. You don't want to put in too many, okay? So sprinkle those cloves in there. Now to this, we're going to add apple cider. If you can't find apple cider, you can always, of course, do this with apple juice, but I'm going to use apple cider, or you can actually even use an unfiltered apple juice. That's always good too. You want to fill your pan up, and you want to go to the grill 225 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes. You see, one of the great things is that water is, taking in all that delicious smoke. And tonight I am using hickory pellets, my favorite. All right, so let's go to the grill with this right away. All right, carefully not spilling it. One-handed hold. Did some weightlifting today, so we're good to go. Get that on the grill, just like that. Nice and simple. Close the lid and get on with the rest of your prep. So, we'll get back to that a little bit later. Our next thing to do, it's all about the spatchcocked turkey. Now, spatchcocking is basically just taking the backbone out of turkey. And by doing that, one of the great things is that you actually reduce the cooking time on your turkey. That's awesome. So you don't have to sit there for 7-8 hours waiting for your turkey to be done. Secondly, spatchcocking is awesome for creating a really level turkey. See, when the turkey is all one level, it actually stays a lot more moist all over the place, not just towards the bottom, because gravity is in your favor. And of course, I love the fact that we're going to make some pockets of awesomeness, and that pockets of awesomeness is where we're going to be putting all that herb butter tonight. So first off, I've got a pan here. I actually don't own a roasting pan, funny enough. Of all the stuff I don't have, I cannot believe I don't have a roasting pan. You know, when I grew up, we always cooked on sheet pans. My mom always did sheet pans, and so I kind of got into that habit. So tonight, I'm actually starting off with this pan here. This is just a basic aluminum pan, disposable, and I've got a baker's mesh rack. I'll come back to that, but I wanted to show you guys right away that, you know what? Sometimes you just got to use what you have, and this is what I have at my house all the time. So let's get on to our beautiful big bird here. So this turkey is approximately 12 to 13 pounds, somewhere in there. Now, of course, when you get your turkey, you want to make sure you take it out of the package and you want to pat it dry all over the place. I'm going to grab some gloves because we're actually going to be literally digging into this turkey a bit tonight just to get it all perfect and ready for the grill. There are so many turkey recipes. Dry brined, wet brined, injected, herb crusted. There is a ton of turkey recipes on the Traeger Girls website. So really, make sure you check it out. Now tonight, we are avoiding sweet potatoes. Now I know some of you people are talking about sweet potatoes and marshmallows. I know I've talked about it a few times. One of our traditions at my house, we always use sweet potato casseroles, but never with marshmallows. That was a whole new thing to me when I came here. So tonight, that is not gonna be discussed here. We're not gonna divide any more people tonight. We've got a beautiful turkey. I've got some paper towels, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of that stuff. You know, that stuff that comes in the packages. So this is a turkey neck. Now, this, at my house, my grandparent, my mother and my grandma used to argue over who got that. So turkey neck goes in there, and all of the other little bits that come in that little package, okay, they go in the bottom of this. Once again, we're gonna come back to that, because that is gonna be a great flavor base for some delicious, delicious wood-fired gravy at a later date. Grab your turkey, try to get off as much moisture as possible, and then get it to a cutting board, just like that. Now, once you've got it on the cutting board, here's what we're gonna do. We're actually going to wipe it all down with paper towels, just because it doesn't wanna, you know, slide right off my countertop here. Pat it down really, really well, okay? It's all been cleaned up, loved up, made all pretty for tonight. And one of the things you might notice already is that I've actually already tucked the wings right back. So we're gonna untuck them and show you again. So the wings, I tuck right behind the back here of the thickest part of the breast. Really simple. That keeps them a lot more moist overall. And then once again, to spatchcock, it's really simple, but you better put out some muscles tonight, because chickens are a lot easier to spatchcock than turkeys, but I'm gonna show you a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned over the years doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of turkeys at this point. So beautiful turkey, nice bird, nice and clean. Here's the thing, we're actually gonna be cutting this section out here. So this is the backbone of the turkey. Same like if you spatchcock a chicken, we're just taking the backbone out. The problem is that turkeys are a lot bigger, of course, right? And the thigh bones are actually the really hard ones to cut through. So here's a tip, grab a really sharp knife and pre-score the sides of it, just like that. So I've scored the one side of the backbone there, and now I'm gonna score the other side, just like that. And that's gonna take you down about 1/2 inch, and that's a good place to start, okay? Now, with the legs facing towards you, so the legs are facing towards me, because I'm gonna hold right there. I've got a super sharp pair of scissors here. These are actually bonsai scissors. And what I'm doing is I'm actually just following that line. And you can hear the crunch as you go through. And you wanna do one side all the way up, just like that. And then you wanna go ahead and do the other side. And it does take a little bit of muscle, I'm not lying to you. And that's the hardest part, right there in the thigh. Good thing I've been working out a lot. Thanks to my trainer. All right, so as you can see, we've got that whole backbone out like that. Now do not, oh, for the love of all things good gravy, do not throw this out. There is so much flavor in this backbone that can lead to really great gravy making, okay? So take this and put it with the rest of those little bits right in that sheet pan, just like that. Now, we're not completely opened up yet. So the thing is that to push these apart naturally, just like that, it's really hard, okay? It's like super hard. I don't care how much you lift at the gym, okay? So what I would recommend is you take your scissors again, come to the very apex of the breastbone right there. You hear that crack? Yeah. And what it does is it allows you just to press it apart just like that, nice and easily. Now, once you're done that, flip your bird over. And it might be a little slippery because once you cut it open, a lot more moisture again. You'll see there's a connective tissue here at the bottom, right at the base of the thighs. All you want to do, snip it off. Just like that. So, by the way, once again, we're not wasting that. It's going to go to the gravy. Throw it over there. Now, our turkey now is completely spatchcocked. As you can see, that didn't take a lot of time. So I'm going to get rid of my tools. We're gonna do another wipe down. Remember, when it comes to doing turkey and all things poultry, cross-contamination is super serious with all meat products. So you wanna be very careful to make sure you're operating, in a really clean manner, okay? Clean up after yourself, get some bleach in there afterwards. Make sure everything is super clean. The other thing is, you don't ever want to work with a warm turkey. Your turkeys need to be refrigerated ahead of time. They need to actually stay below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Additionally, here's a reminder to everybody. A lot of our turkeys come store-bought and frozen. Now, a lot of people unfortunately don't realize how long it takes to actually thaw out a turkey. So here's a tip from me to you. For every 4 pounds of turkey weight, give yourself 1 day in the fridge to thaw out safely. So our turkey, 12 pounds, I actually gave us 4 days to make sure that this one was thawed out because it was previously frozen. It's an all natural, antibiotic-free turkey, but I still gave myself 4 days to get it from solid, hard, rock frozen to this thawed state we're at right now, okay? So wiping up all that, a couple more paper towels so we don't lose it all. And let's talk about seasoning. Now you can make a wide variety of turkeys. Turkeys are like, they're such a great vehicle for flavors because it literally takes in smoke really well. It takes in barbecue rubs very well, injections, brines, you name it. So for us today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a butter and herb mixture go under the skin, but I'm not going to do it with this one. See, this one, we're actually going to brine first. So pop this over to the side for just a minute and let's talk about brining. So the first thing you need to do, get yourself a bucket, okay? Or get yourself something that will fit. This is my loadout bucket. I use it for a variety of things throughout the year. Turkey season is always a good thing. One of the things that I love about it is that I actually will put this right in my fridge. I have a really big double door commercial fridge at my house, so you might want to get a smaller, container for your house, whatever works. No matter what, it has to stay below 40 degrees. Has to be in that refrigerated zone the entire time the brine is in there. So let's mix up a brine, shall we? When it comes to making a brine, we've got a few ingredients. Salt and usually sugar to start. So we've got some kosher salt. We've got some brown sugar. And so the reason we do this is that brining actually helps unravel some of the turkey cells a little bit. And what it does is it pushes out the weight of one water and replaces it with the density of another water. And that water that we're pushing into it will actually be retained in the turkey a lot longer. And that moisture content of the turkey is super noticeable after you brine a turkey. So once again, 12-pound turkey, we just took out the backbone. So we're probably dealing with 11.5 now, right around there. So here's a rule of thumb when it comes to brining. For every pound of turkey, you should brine for about an hour, or about an hour to an hour and a half, okay? No more than 24 hours though. The thing is that you can actually turn the meat mushy if you over brine it. So rule of thumb, hour to an hour and a half for every pound of turkey weight. Okay, salt, sugar, water. So I've got a gallon of water here. We're just dumping it in our bin. Our bucket's going to be full of turkey goodness. Now, that's a basic brine right there. You could stop there, you could brine it just like that, and you'd be good to go. But the thing is, we're going to amp up some flavor and give it some citrus goodness tonight, okay? So, I've got oranges. I've got lemons. We're going to get them in there. If you want, give them a little squeeze. Get some more citrus happiness going in there as you put them in the bucket. So, really simple. There we go. I'm also going to add in some aromatics because you're at my house and I like these things. I've got a bunch of rosemary and I've got some thyme. Dump those in. Then all you have to do is grab a whisk. Whisk the daylights out of it. Because basically what you want to do is make sure that that sugar is completely dissolved. Another option you have, if you don't want to stand here and whisk for 2 minutes, is you can actually bring this to a boil on a stovetop, cool it down completely, and then use it. Totally up to you. So for tonight, that's about all I'm going to whisk, because I already have one ready. Remember, you can get this recipe at traegergrills.com/Thanksgiving. Now, if you're doing some Traegering this Thanksgiving, do yourself a favor. Make sure you hashtag Traeger Thanksgiving. We'd love to feature your pictures. All right, turkey in the brine. Push it all down. Make sure that turkey is completely submerged, and then get it refrigerated right away. All right, you want to get that out of the way? Thank you, sir. All right, turkey gone. All right, we're going to go on to another turkey now, though, because, well, we don't have another 14 hours to hang out here with everybody as much as I'd like to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab one that I've already brined overnight. Grab a new pair of gloves. We're gonna use the same cutting board. I'm just gonna wipe it down a bit, and then we're gonna get this all prepped for the grill. Brian, do we have any questions yet?
Yeah, where can I find star anise?
Where can you find star anise? Star anise is in the spice aisle of your regular grocery store. Usually it comes 6 to 7 to a tiny little bottle. If you can't find it there, you can of course always look for star anise at an Asian food or grocery store. And of course, you can always go online. All right, Bri, take one more question.
You inject your turkeys?
So the question is, do I inject my turkeys? I have so far already done 6 turkeys this year. 1 was injected, 1 was dry brined, 3 were wet brined, and another one I just threw rub on it and threw it on the grill. I love turkey. I love turkey. I love having turkey leftovers. I made a big pot of actually wild rice turkey soup this morning. For me, I can't get enough turkey, so I literally do all applications when it comes to turkey, and then even just plain, boneless turkey breasts throughout the whole year, sometimes wrapped in bacon. So, all right, cutting board. Let's go to this. Now this is gonna get a little messy, everybody. Just a warning. Gonna grab the turkey out. It's icy cold, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. See, it really is a good thing I got the weights down pat now. All right, so here we go. Here's our turkey. Been in the brine. Take off all the little bits, because you really don't want to eat a stick. Just not good eats. Gonna grab some paper towels. We're gonna get this puppy all wiped off. Now this one, as you can see, has already been spatchcocked. Getting off those extra pieces of thyme from the brine. It's ice cold. By the way, I'm here in Central Florida, so if you're wondering why my turkey is smoking, it's because it's so cold and it's a lot warmer here. We haven't hit any cold weather yet. None whatsoever. All right, get it all wiped out completely. All right, flip it over, wipe the cutting board again. There's a lot of wiping involved tonight. And here we go. She's a pretty. So she's all ready to go. And now here's the next stage of turkey awesomeness, okay? You want to grab some butter. Okay, maybe you want to grab a lot of butter. 2 sticks of butter mixed with some of my favorite herbs and a little bit of black pepper. So into this, I have some fresh thyme that I chopped up. I like dried chives, so I put in a tablespoon of that as well. And of course, some black pepper. This is unsalted butter, by the way. All right, take your hand. And you want to literally, I've already done it on this one, move your hand all the way over the breast to make sure that you've got a complete pocket. As you can see, my hand's under there. And the reason we do that is that A, this skin is gonna be absolutely deliciously roasted awesomeness. And B, we wanna put butter in there, lots of butter. So get your hand messy. Butter under the skin, one side. Butter, under the skin, other side. And now what you wanna do, take your hand and just press it all the way around so you've got great butter distribution, okay? Now, I'm gonna use the excess on the outside of this. You can also use a little drizzle of olive oil, but I have some more butter in that container, so I might as well just use that up. Now, our turkey completely ready for seasoning. Now, today, I'm gonna use one of my favorite seasonings. I love Traeger's pork and poultry rub. I love it. It's one of my all-time favorite rubs. And so for me, using Traeger pork and poultry rub just makes sense. At your house, you should use whatever you want. Or you could use something as simple as just poultry seasoning or salt and pepper. Maybe Traeger big game rub, chicken rub. We've got lots of options. I love this one, and you're at my house. So, get a nice sprinkle on. Look at how pretty that is. I love the color it gives turkeys too, I gotta tell you. I'm all about that presentation turkey. And I think it's really spectacular when you go and you can see how gorgeous and mahogany this turkey gets. And it's got crispy skin and all that butter seeped into the breast. And it's like totally spectacular. All right, Brian, while I'm doing this, how about another question?
What's the best type of pan to use on a Traeger versus the aluminum pan?
So the question is, what's the best pan to use on a Traeger grills? No matter what you use, just make sure it's grill safe. I use sheet pans regularly, like just regular baking pans. I use casserole dishes that are grill safe. Grill safe is really the key right there. You really want to make sure that whatever you use, it is safe for the grill. And you can always check with the manufacturer on that. All right, one more question.
Any suggestions on what kind of turkeys to buy and where?
So the question is, what kind of turkeys to buy and where? Well, I think you need to look at your budget first. Always look at your budget. Buy one literally that has the least amount of injection in it. So there has to be a disclaimer on anything that has like a brine solution injected in it or a salt solution already pre-injected in your bird. In all cases, you want to avoid as much of that as possible. Typically, I try personally to buy all natural turkeys or organic turkeys. That could be somewhere local, that could be a big box retailer. It really is up to you where you want to buy it from. But typically for me, I really do like the all natural turkeys. I think it makes a big difference in the skin texture, and overall, I just like the flavor of them better. All right, one more question.
What brand of scissors do you use?
So the brand of scissors, it's a no-name brand actually. I buy them in 12 packs from an Asian grocery store up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And anytime I need them, I have friends that'll mail them to me. You can find some similar brands. They're called bonsai scissors online, at our big box retailers that way. Overall, you need some super, super tough scissors to get through those turkey bones. All right, so our bird completely seasoned up, ready to hit the grill. So we don't put it right on the grill, and I'm gonna tell you why. You can grab the turkey stock, Bri. It's from the inside there. Thanks. So we've got our turkey neck, we've got our back in here, we've got all of the little bits. Now, we could just put that on the grill, but I want to maximize the opportunity we have to build a flavor base for gravy. I mean, come on. It's Thanksgiving. We all need some gravy in our lives. So in this pan, I've got all those bits, and then I'm going to add some other stuff, like really, really normal everyday stuff. So I've got carrots in here, and I've got some celery. So, as you can see, not perfectly cut or anything, roughly chopped. I've got some sweet white onion from Texas. Shout out to all my friends in Texas. I've got lots and lots of goodness going in the bottom because it's actually gonna be a flavor base. Now, I've also got some herbs and some chives going in. Dried or fresh chives because I grew them and I'm still in shock that I did. And some thyme. And there we go. So that's basically building up a flavor base on the bottom of the pan. So while this turkey is cooking, while we're getting all that wood-fired love in there, all that good flavor from the hickory smoke, one of the great things is that we're gonna be building up a gravy layer. Now, to get it started, we're gonna add in a little bit of turkey stock. Wherever you get it from. You can also use unsalted chicken stock. That's always a good idea, all right? So 2 to 3 cups in the bottom. And basically, you actually don't want the turkey sitting in this. We actually want to put it right above, and that's where the rack comes in for me. It just makes sense. So about 3 cups, that's plenty, okay? And then what I do next, here's my rack. I actually set the rack right above the veg and all those bits. And then our turkey goes right above that, okay? And it fits every single time, just like that. Pretty simple. So we'll get rid of this cutting board. We're gonna get it cleaned up. And more importantly, we're gonna go to the grill with this. Now, temperature we're gonna go to the grill at 350 degrees. But before you do, let's talk about temperature, shall we? Really important. Don't cook by time, always cook by temperature. So this is one of our Traeger probes, okay? Now, when it comes to taking the temp in a turkey, the very best place to take the temperature and to monitor on your phone with Wi-Fi technology is in the thickest part of the breast. Thickest part of the breast is up here in the top section, and you want to always go in on a bit of an angle. Make sure you don't hit any bones. And the reason we always want to measure the temperature in the breast versus anywhere else is that the breast actually dries out faster than anything. In the dark meat, the legs, the thighs, there's actually a higher amount of myoglobin, which is those watery cells. They can actually take a lot more, well, almost overcooking. But the breast, they even dry out the most quickly. They really do. So you never want to go past, say, 163, 165 at the very highest amount. And when you take this turkey off, it should be literally right around 163, and then it'll carry over another couple of degrees when it comes off the grill. All right, so let's get this beauty to the grill. All right. And I'm gonna take the other one off, and we're just gonna put it over here to rest, because that's the next thing. You gotta have the turkey resting. All right, turkey on the grill, probe in, going to the timberline. Pretty simple. All right, so while we're cleaning up, I'm gonna take some more questions from you guys. Brian, what do you got?
What type of cutting board do you use?
That is a composite cutting board from a company called Epicurean. I'm a big fan of it. It's not too heavy. It's a good, the smaller ones can go in the dishwasher, so I'm kind of a fan of that. Also, I love those big, huge, gorgeous cutting boards that are thick and wood, but they get really old when you got to cut, you know, turkeys on them and big roasts, and then have to go and try to fit them in your sink to clean them, and they're really heavy and awkward. So, yeah. Next question.
Could you keep the ice in the water or in the liquid if you have no room in your fridge?
So the question is, can you keep the ice in the water? Yes, absolutely. In that case, if you don't have the fridge real estate, basically, to actually put in a whole turkey in a big bin or, you know, a bucket or whatever, one of the things you can do is actually we put in a gallon of water. You can also add in a gallon of ice. But here's the thing. You may want to have an exterior probe, temperature probe, to ensure that you are staying below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't tell you how important that is for food safety, to make sure that you're sticking into the right temperature zones when it comes to food safety. I wouldn't want anybody to get sick. One last question.
What do you prefer, a wet brine, dry brine, injected, or nothing?
So the question is, what do I prefer, a wet brine, a dry brine, injected, or nothing? I just prefer turkey in general. Always. I love all of the different applications. So one of the benefits of doing a wet brine versus a dry brine. Dry brine does a great job. It takes up a little less real estate. However, with a wet brine, we just put all that citrus in there, and that citrus notes are going to come out into the turkey. Or we could have swapped out the water completely for example, apple cider. Or maybe you want to add some whiskey to your brine. So one of the benefits of a completely submersive wet brine is the fact that you can actually encapsulate your entire turkey with a water or a juice or something else, like the citrus. With the dry brine, you're definitely doing a good job with the surface. It's delicious. It'll still have a great, you know, prospect of being a moist turkey, but you may not have as many opportunities to get as much flavor in there. Now, as for injecting, that's just fun. I love injecting turkeys. I love Cajun butter turkeys. I just did one last week. They're all great. Just find which one works for you. All right, next dish we're gonna go get, I'm gonna go grab it and assemble it and show you guys. Pass me that. All right, so I'm gonna tell you, you look like a rock star when you make this because it's so delicious, and it literally takes just a few minutes. So I've got a buttered casserole dish. Once again, I'm going to the grill with this one. This is completely buttered. So there's a couple of tablespoons of butter in there. And here in this bowl here, I have got butternut squash and I've got potatoes. I cracked open my acorn squash and it was just really gross on the inside tonight. So I'm like, nope, we're just gonna go with the butternut tonight. So we've got butternut squash, we've got some potatoes, and this is as hard as it gets. You peel them, you cube them, you dump them in your pan. Just like that. Now, once you're done that, you gotta make a cheese sauce. I happen to have made our cheese sauce up a little early tonight. So in here, and the recipe, once again, TraegerGrills.com/Thanksgiving. This is like ridiculously good. Like, oh my good gravy, it's so amazing. This is heavy cream mixed with 3 cups of Gruyere cheese, mixed with some chives, and I put a little pepper in there as well. And that's it. It's really simple and it's delicious. So we've got our squash, we've got our potatoes, we've got our cream sauce. You want to pour that all over. Okay, just like that. And then you want to go to the grill. Now the great thing is, one of the things that I love about this dish, you can do this the day before. Get it to this stage right here. So we haven't put it on the grill yet. Get this all prepped, ready to go. Pop it in the fridge overnight. And then the next thing you do, the next morning, take it out, put it on the grill next to your turkey as it's cooking. I mean, it's super convenient. It's absolutely decadently delicious. And you know what? It never lasts at my house. So, squash au gratin, going to the grill. All right. Here we go. Now, while those things are cooking, let's have a little chat, people, okay? A clean grill is a good grill. I'm going to tell you right now, you always want to make sure, especially when you're doing some intense cooking times like Thanksgiving, the holiday season, you always want to take the time to really clean your grills properly. And that means grill cleaner, you know, something that eats grease, which is always a good thing. I've got the wooden scraper. As you can see, mine's very well used. I use it almost every day. And then a heavy duty Traeger brush. The reason is this. You want to make sure that you've got a great, like, launch pad for getting all your grills clean, sparkly, and safe. Make sure, you know, your grease traps, grease buckets, whichever one you've got, make sure you empty those out, clean those out as well. Get your shop vac out, vacuum out anything, replace your tray liners. Make sure that all of those things are done ahead of time so that you can hit the gate open and knock it out of the park with your Thanksgiving cooking. I just want everybody to have a really great, safe Thanksgiving holiday season. So make sure, you know what? Make sure you clean your grill, okay? All right, soapbox, getting off it. All right, what else we got?
Did you put ice in the brine bucket or just water?
My brine bucket and my my roadie, both of those products actually both fit in my fridge. I have my fridge is like this big, so I actually put them both in the fridge. You can, if you need to though, add ice to your brine if you have to keep it out. Once again, make sure the temperature stays 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below in order to be, you know, food safe completely. All right, everybody. So I think it's time we go and get a couple of things off the grill. First thing is, I think we're gonna go grab that cider off the grill. So I'm gonna grab some hot gloves to get that off the grill. It's been on there enough time. We've got some smoke going on. It's got some deliciousness. It's nice and warm. And then I'm going to show you how to actually cut apart a turkey. And we're also going to take off the squash, show you how easy, see, that was so easy to do that and so incredibly delicious. Once again, if you are looking for holiday recipes, make sure you go to traegergrills.com/Thanksgiving. And then of course, if you're making anything on the Traeger, make sure you hashtag it, Traeger Thanksgiving. It's good. All right. Woo! It's my fear always is actually, you know, to drop it. There we go. All right. Let me tell you something about this dish. One of the things it smells like the holidays. I love that fact. I love the fact that this completely smells like the holidays from the moment you take it off the grill. Like this whole like area right now just smells like Thanksgiving. So here we go. We've got that. Woo, got a big spoon. Now, conveniently, Traeger cup, super cute. I like to put it into a cup, hopefully not spill it everywhere. I like floating a star anise in there. Tell children not to eat them. Probably not a good idea. I got a little garnish in there. I need some paper towels there. Thanks, buddy. We've got some goodness going on. Now, that's good for, you know, other people. But I'm going to take it up a notch because, well, you're at my house. So, good thing is we've got a beautiful warm cider, but I'm going to give you the adult version now. Cider, meet whiskey. Now it's my cocktail. Smoked apple cider. Totally delicious, everybody. Yummy. All right, moving on. Let's go get the squash casserole out now. Pretty simple. Through the magic of me doing this earlier today, I have got one completely prepped and ready to go. Here's the other thing I love about this dish. You can get it done half an hour to 45 minutes before you need to serve it and just let it rest. You know, put it on the keep warm button. That's an awesome feature on the Timberline. So, beautiful, delicious, all that cheesy goodness. And then before I serve it, I love to add in some fresh chopped chives. Just a little pop of color on there. All of those squash pieces are nice and tender. Now, how long does that take to cook at 350? Well, it really does depend on A, if your squash fully ripened, and B, how big you cut the chunks. They should be all completely fork tender. This one tonight took an hour and 15 minutes at 350 degrees until it got fork tender. So adjust accordingly. But that buffer zone in there you've got, that half an hour to 45 minutes where it can just sit and rest, That's epic. All right, putting that over there. Now, it wouldn't be the holidays without an amazing turkey. So I cannot wait to show you guys this beautiful turkey that I'm about to take off, that I've taken off and I've rested. I'm gonna pull over my other big cutting board now, get this over to the side. We're gonna talk about how to cut a turkey. All right. Whoa. Now here we go. Check out this beauty. Gorgeous color all the way around. The skin is super crispy and it smells amazing. Now underneath, we've got all of the butter that's dripped onto the pan. So if you want to make gravy, all you have to do is actually strain it all off and whisk it on a stovetop, okay? Bring it up to a boil, maybe add in a little bit of cornstarch, just to thicken it up, make a cornstarch slurry, and you've got a super quick and fast gravy. You can also add in some spicy brown mustard, really delicious. I just did one up the other day on my Instagram because I believe wood-fired gravy is absolutely spectacular. All right, let's get it out of the pan and let's show you how to cut this beautiful bird. Brian, you got a question?
What's the best way to mix the butter that you put on the turkey?
So the question is, what's the best way to mix the butter that I put on the turkey? I just grabbed a spoon. That was it, spoon. I let my butter come up to room temperature, and then I mixed it up with all the herbs and all that goodness to get it a little fluffier, and then just waited until we went live tonight. That was it, pretty simple. All right, moving that pan over. Let's get this bird out of here. Now, my fingers don't feel heat like normal people, so make sure at your house you wear some hot gloves underneath there. I'm gonna get rid of this pan. There we go. Now take a look at this glorious turkey. Like, look at it, it's so pretty. Now, one of the things is, cutting a spatchcocked turkey is spectacularly easy. And that's also another big benefit of spatchcocking your turkey. So grab a couple knives, grab a couple nice sharp knives. Got one, got two. All right, step one, spatchcocked turkey. I'm gonna turn the cutting board now, because it just makes it easier for me, okay? Take your leg and literally pull it out a little bit from the turkey, as you saw. Do you see this? This smoking goodness. So easy to do. Do the same thing on this next side, right there. All right. Now, you're gonna notice that now we have just the breasts and the wings left. We'll get back to those legs in just a minute. We can actually go ahead and cut the wings off. Now, I don't want to give somebody just a little wing. I'm going to give some of the breast meat. So I grab my big chef's knife. I'm going to cut up on the breast just like that. Notice I just notched it about 1.5 inches down. And then what you want to do is just pop it back. What you're going to notice is that there's a joint right there. And that joint is super easy to cut, just like that. So they get a little bit of breast meat and the wing, okay? Do the same thing on the next side. Notch it just a little bit up there. And then as it pulls out, you can see the joints right there. So easy. Cut it just like that. Now you're left with the breast. Now we want to talk about fair skin distribution now. It's a very serious topic. It's just like right up there with meat to bun ratio for me, okay? Now traditionally, a lot of people would slice like this, right? Yeah, stop doing that, peoples, okay? Because that's just not fair. Whoever gets that first slice and the second slice gets the majority of all of the skin. This skin is crispy and delicious and wood-fired. So here's what I recommend. Grab your boning knife, okay? Follow along the breastbone in the middle and literally just take off the breast. You can see it's smoking hot. All right, breast number 1 off, just like that. Do the same thing on this side. And remember, save the rest of this carcass for making soup. Now let's talk about leftovers. I don't know about you, but I love turkey leftovers. I just did a pressed panini kind of like sandwich on just a couple days ago. We loved it. It was awesome. Did it on the Ranger. Today I made soup. Like I said, I've already made 6 turkeys this year, so you get kind of creative. I love turkey tetrazzini. I love making quesadillas with turkey. You got a lot of stuff there that's really delicious. All right, so now we've got all of our turkey parts. Now, grab the leg and thigh combination. On the very back, once again, notch it right at the very end of that leg, just about an inch down. You can see once again, really simple. This is a lovely, beautiful bird that was taken to 164 degrees. Now look at that. This is like just thin, beautiful. Look at how thin that skin is. It's all rendered out beautifully, and it's like all sorts of delicious. Once again, do the same thing with this one. On the back, take a little knife, cut, pull it apart. You can see it pulls apart right at the joint, and then finish your cut if you need to. Pretty simple. So we've got this beautiful turkey parts cut up for the most part. Now, we're not going to give anybody a whole breast. I don't care how hungry you are at my house, okay? So what I like to do is I like to grab my bird with a super sharp knife. You can see all those delicious herbs right underneath. And what I do is I cut beautiful little slices so everybody gets a piece of skin. It's just the fair way to do it. And that is a really great way for equal skin distribution on your turkey breasts. Super simple. Once again, the recipes are all at traegergrills.com/Thanksgiving. So there we go, people. Beautiful turkey breast, succulent, moist. This is like the turkey goodness. Once again, cutting everybody a piece of that skin because, like, seriously, it's fair. I think it's the way it should be done. And of course, really good for the leftovers later on at night. So here we go. Beautiful turkey. Pretty cutting. So turkey breast, thigh, thigh, leg, leg, wing, wing. Grab a platter, get it presented up pretty. Because if you're going to spend some time, I don't do a lot of presentation plates. I'm not very good at that. But at the holiday season, I like doing a nice platter up. So I've got a platter decorated with a whole bunch of flat leaf parsley because it pops the color underneath. I've got my beautiful turkey legs going in there. I've got my beautiful wings going in there. Just gorgeous, succulent meat all the way through. Okay. And then we fill the entire center up with these beautiful turkey breasts. And then because we used a citrus-based brine, I like to cut up some mandarin oranges or some small navel oranges. I am here in the citrus state of all things Florida. So I cut up some mandarin oranges. There we go. Thank you. And I like to decorate it with that as well, keeping it nice and simple and fresh. So while we're doing this, Brian, how about we take some questions? Awesome.
Do you season the underside of your turkey?
So the question is, do I season the underside of my turkey? A lot of times, no, I don't, because everything seems to drip underneath. So by the time I'm done, it actually seems to have completely kind of like almost like self-basted. If you want to add more in, you know, feel free to. Personally, I actually avoid it. I also don't want to oversalt my turkey. Next question, please.
How long did you let it rest and did you tend it with foil?
Ah, great question. Somebody just asked, how long did I let it rest and did I tent it with foil? Well, I actually let this rest for about 20 to 25 minutes, first and foremost. It's sitting on the keep warm button right behind me, which is awesome. And then what I did was I did not cover it with foil. And the reason is this. If you cover a turkey up with foil, here's what happens. You actually create an entire barrier and that the steam can't escape. And one of the problems with that is that we just worked really hard to get that beautiful, thin turkey skin roasted and delicious and all rendered through. So what happens is if you would cover this whole dish with foil, what happens is all the steam, all that water hits the top of the foil and then it falls back onto the turkey. Now when it falls back onto the turkey, that is not a good thing, people, because it actually can literally destroy your crispy skin turkey. So my advice to you, use the keep warm button if you have to for a few minutes, but don't cover it in foil, okay? I just don't recommend it because I want that crispy skin as much as possible. Next question, please.
Where can I find those hot gloves that you use?
So the hot gloves I was wearing tonight are from Duluth. They're convenient, they're easy. They're just like an all-purpose glove. Wherever possible, keep your hands protected. I have smaller hands than most people, or most men in barbecue. So a lot of times I have to buy my own gloves and do my own thing that way. Alternatively, you can always use cotton knit string gloves and put a pair of nitrile gloves over top of that or food safe gloves. That always works well. And it's a good idea when you're actually going ahead and of course, you know, doing a lot of wood or a lot of meat projects is you have those hot gloves, put the nitriles over them. Then you, as you can see, I just pop them on and off wherever I need them. All right, one more question.
For the au gratin, did you use sweet potatoes or regular potatoes?
So the question was, for the au gratin, did I use sweet potatoes or regular potatoes? Now, I've actually done it both ways. For today's version of the au gratin, I actually used just regular white rustic potatoes. And I've done the sweet potatoes actually on the road with the Traeger Shot Class Tour. And once again, make sure you guys are taking a look at the Traeger Girls website. We do these amazing private table classes now. Of course, we've all had to adjust to a bit of a new normal. And so you might want to go take a look at some of the classes that are upcoming. We've got some really cool stuff. Everything from cocktails to prime rib to turkey breast rolls. Like there's so many classes coming up. There are a wide variety of things. So make sure you check out TraegerGrills.com /shop class and you can find out more information about that. All right, one more.
Can you remind us how many pounds the turkey was and how many people it would feed?
So, when it comes to doing turkey, the average rule of thumb is 1 pound per person. One of the things about that is I do not think that that gives you enough turkey for leftovers. And that's important to me. So at my house, we give an average of 2 pounds per person for turkey, and everybody else usually gives 1.5 to 1 pound per person. For me, that's just not enough, okay? I like a little bit more turkey, and I love turkey leftovers. All right, Bri, another question.
After smoking, how would you recommend transporting? Cooking it at one house, bringing to a family in another house?
Oh, well, that's a new one, eh? So the question is how to transport turkey once you've cooked it at one house, bring it to the other. Well, you know, I guess it really does depend on what state you're in. If you're in a cold state or a warm state, you may have to sacrifice some of your skin up a little bit to keep it warm enough. If you're transporting it, I would cook it fully, completely. I wouldn't slice it though, if you can at all possible. The second you start slicing meat, whether it be a brisket, a pork butt, a pork loin, or even a turkey, you're actually introducing oxygen. And when you introduce all that oxygen, you immediately start drying out the bird or your piece of meat. Now, because we brine this is like an insurance policy for moisture. And one of the best parts about that is that when you're sitting around the Thanksgiving table and you're done eating and you're about 4 or 5 hours later and maybe you're sitting there playing poker, because that's what you usually do on our Friendsgiving, play poker or other games that we shouldn't mention. That's when you usually want to have a sandwich or something and it's nice and moist. When you're traveling with the turkey, one of the key things is you want to keep that bird as intact as possible. So spatchcock your turkey, okay? Put it on your grill, giving yourself about 2.5 to 3.5 to 4 hours, depending on how big your turkey is. And then when your turkey is completely cooked, making sure to keep that digital thermometer in the thickest part of the breast. And by the way, if you have another grill of ours that doesn't have the thermometers built in, you can always use a digital probe thermometer like this. This is just a really quick read thermometer. That can be used as well, but I would recommend you keep checking the temperature about once it's been on there for about an hour to an hour and a half, then start checking it about every 15 minutes. Once you've completely spatchcocked it and it's ready to transport, what I would do is I would take it out of the pan, the original pan, because you've got all that moisture on the bottom and you don't want to, that to, slosh off into your car. I would actually put it into a new pan. Unfortunately, I would have to recommend that you would cover it with foil to transport it to the next house. Additionally, if you do want to make a gravy ahead of time, take it over into a plastic container with a tight fitting lid and then just reheat it there on the stovetop. Another thing, wherever possible, try to avoid using microwaves to reheat your barbecue meats. It's just not a good habit to get into. If you've got a sous vide machine, that's a great way to heat up your turkey leftovers or your barbecue leftovers in general. Or I'm a huge fan of the crock pot. It's low and slow, or you can put it back on the grill, again, low and slow. So a couple of options for you guys if you want to reheat and use it at a later date. All right, one more question. I keep saying that.
What are your thoughts on putting it on smoke for an hour and then cranking it up?
All right. This is really good. All right, so the question is, what are my thoughts on putting it on smoke and then cranking the temperature? I think that's an amazing idea. In fact, I do that a lot. So instead of just taking the turkey right from its prep stage, going to the grill immediately at 350, one of the great things about being a Traeger owner, the wood-fired flavor. Tonight I used hickory pellets, maybe you like pecan or pecan, depending on what state you're in. Maybe you like mesquite. big game, whatever your favorite pellet, flavor is. One of the great things is that we can actually infuse this turkey with smoke right at the very beginning of our cook. Now remember, we want to take this turkey out of the fridge or out of the brine like we did tonight. We want it to go always cold to the grill, because the colder the meat is when it starts on the grill, the more time it's going to have to absorb that delicious wood-fired smoke. And then what I would recommend you do is, well, on my Timberline, for example, 225 degrees, just click the super smoke button. Put it on there for the first hour if you want a little more smoke flavor. It's always a great option. Remember, there's no one right way to cook a turkey, but there is one right temperature to finish a turkey at, and that is 165 degrees. You never want it to go over that. Another thing, when it comes to turkey leftovers or holding all these foods, okay? So if you're feeding your family, or you've got your designated amount of people that are at your house, one of the things you have to remember is food needs to stay above 140 degrees Fahrenheit in order to be safe. That's right. While the fridge has to stay below 40 degrees in order to be food safe at a cold temperature, your hot foods need to stay above 140 degrees in order to always be safe to serve. Okay, so always keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to take another sip. You could have another question.
Could you quick thaw it in cold water, switching out the water every so often?
So the question is, can you quick thaw in cold water? Yes, you can. I don't recommend it. I always say it's always better to err on the side of caution and literally give yourself enough time to thaw your turkey fully in the fridge. Seriously, it's not worth the risk of, getting any additional, bacteria in your systems or sharing that with your family. Make sure for every 4 pounds, you give yourself 1 day of thawing into the fridge, okay? Seriously, it's not worth it to rush to thaw a turkey. It's just not. All right.
Do you rinse the turkey after the brine?
So the question is, do you rinse the turkey after the brine? No, typically I never do. I typically will just pat it down on the outside. For me, that's enough. If you guys noticed tonight, I actually didn't add salt to anything else. So I didn't add salt to the butter that we put under the skin. The rub had salt in it already. And for me, just patting on the outside, I love that flavor combination. I love the citrusy notes. And I'm always afraid that if I actually go and rinsed off the whole turkey, then I'm actually delineating some of that, reason why we did the brine. And I want to capture as much of that moisture in there as possible. All right. I'm going to taste test something. Hold on. Because I can't sit here this long anymore, okay? So here's the deal, everybody. We've got the squash casserole. And this is a very important spoon. Let me explain this to you. So we're talking about family traditions at Thanksgiving. This is my grandmother's spoon. When she's passed away for many, many years now. My mom's passed away. When my grandmother first got married, this was one of her spoons. And so it's like always comes out at Thanksgiving and it goes away for the rest of the year. So those family traditions, and I know this year is a very different year than we've ever had before. These ones are still really important to me. So Grandma, this is for you. I'm still using it at Thanksgiving. We got our beautiful, look at how creamy that is. Look at that creamy goodness. And it's smoking hot, okay? So beautiful, delicious dish. So we got a little bit of that squash casserole there. And then I'm gonna go right in because I love turkey breast. I do. I love a beautiful piece of turkey breast. Now, speaking of family traditions, this is as close to my mother's gravy as I possibly could get. The recipe's on my Instagram, shared with Traeger, of course. This is something that I had to work on for a few years because my grandmother and my mother were always the gravy makers. And then when my grandmother passed away, my mother was the gravy maker. And unfortunately, my mom was not a very good cook, but she was an awesome gravy maker. So over the years, I had to come up with her recipe or a version of it, and it's thick and it's delicious. And by the way, it uses all those things in the bottom of that pan we did tonight. And now I get to put a wood-fired spin on this and make it my tradition. So here we go. We've got beautiful, delicious, succulent, moist turkey, super thin skin. And of course, the breast meat always, always, always dries out the first. This has been now sitting there for 40 minutes now, about 40 minutes. Look at how moist it is. Like you can see the moisture dripping off of that. And that just shows me how spectacularly well brines work. Mom's gravy, nailed it. All right. It's such an exciting part when I get to eat. And then, beautiful squash casserole, au gratin, Gruyere cheese. By the way, if you don't like that cheese, switch it out. Mozzarella works in this recipe too. So does cheddar. Basically, cheese. At our house, I gotta admit something. The recipe calls for 3 cups. We actually put closer to 4 to 5 cups of cheese in there just because we're cheeseheads and we love cheese. So just to let you know, you can make it your own. All right, another question?
What's the easy way to peel a squash?
Oh, so the hardest part, no joke, about this whole dish, this squash au gratin, is peeling those squash. And I usually have a few curse words when I'm doing it, but I actually figured out an easier way a couple years ago to peel a squash. I actually pierce the surface of the entire squash a couple of times with a fork, and I pop it in the microwave for about 4 or 5 minutes. It seems to make the squash skin a lot easier to peel. And that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. You can, of course, pay the premium price and buy the squash already cubed up. I tried to do this dish once with the frozen version. It did not work out as well because there was just too much moisture in the frozen version of the squash. So if you have to peel it, go ahead and use my tips. Additionally, I have, some people have a skin sensitivity to peeling squash. I always wear gloves when I do it. So be aware of that. If all of a sudden it feels like you've almost got like a sticky sap on your hands, you probably just have a sensitivity to it. It's pretty common. I actually read that online this week, how common that is. So make sure you wear a pair of gloves. And then seriously, use my... I couldn't believe how much of a difference it made, but that made it a lot easier to actually peel the squash. All right, 2 more questions tonight.
One more.
Wait, 1 more question.
What's on your Thanksgiving menu this year?
Oh, so the question is, what's on my Thanksgiving menu this year? Well, you know, like I said, everybody is, you know, it's a whole new world, and it's very different. Normally, I have, on average, 40 to 50 people come to my house for Friendsgiving. We celebrate Friendsgiving above anything. I'm Canadian and American, and so the Canadian Thanksgiving was last month. And so we celebrated. I've been eating turkey for a month already. We celebrated on that day. And then for the U.S. Thanksgiving, we actually do it the day after. And this year, we're keeping it to 10 people, which is like the smallest group we've ever had. And that's a bit of a challenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a wet brined herb roasted turkey, very similar to this one I did tonight, actually. The only difference is that I'm actually probably going to add in a little bit of rosemary to the herb. Butter. Other than that, I cook it the exact same. This casserole will show up at my house again on my menu for my Thanksgiving or Friendsgiving. I also love to do at least 1, if not 2 different stuffings, usually a cornbread stuffing, and then I have a regular stuffing I do. My barbecue boyfriend, best friend, he does not eat onions. I don't understand him, so I have to make him up a whole tray as well. I have another friend who likes certain gravies and certain things. So what I try to do is I try to make things that make everybody happy. I've also got a whiskey caramelized onion tart that I'm doing this year, and a few other delicious cocktails and appetizers, mostly whiskey and bourbon related. So that kind of makes me happy. So the most important thing is, even if you can't be in person this year, get on, you know, one of those online calls, get online with all your friends and family, share your pictures, share your Thanksgiving stories this year. Hashtag Traeger Thanksgiving. Make sure you celebrate in whichever way you can. And of course, no matter what, make it wood fire delicious. All the recipes for tonight and so many more. I can't even begin to tell you guys how many more recipes. TraegerGrills.com/Thanksgiving. Super easy. Thanks for joining me tonight on Traeger Kitchen Live, everybody. Be blessed. Stay safe. All the best to you.